Solvang. Yeah.
We'll call to order the regular meeting of the Solvang City Council for Monday, March 27th, 2017. Will you call the roll, please?
Councilmember Deuce,
Present.
Jameson. Here. Toussaint.
Here.
Zimmerman.
Present.
Mayor Richardson.
Present. And would you stand with me for the pledge, please? Place your hand over your heart and repeat after me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We have several presentations to make this evening for men and women of the year from the San Ynez Valley News. We're not going to read those proclamations tonight, but we'll give them the night of their presentation and read them then, I think.
Oh,
Would that be all right?
yeah, so who will give it?
We'll flip a coin. Joni likes to do it, and I like to do it.
You go ahead. Tony, or you go, I don't have you down, right? No, I'm not gonna be here.
What night is it?
It's Saturday night.
This coming Saturday?
Uh-huh.
I'll be there.
Oh,
Is that okay?
oh, absolutely. I'm hoping you come. So, okay, so,
It'd be an honor for me to do that then, honestly.
yeah, we'll work it in.
Okay.
So I'm just curious, so you'll read,
They're quite long, quite
I know.
involved. I can present them without reading, or?
maybe just present it without reading, because we do those introductions.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure it includes most of that information.
Okay, well, I can just present them as a,
That would be, I'd love that.
thank you much. Would you like to take them this evening? And
Sure, yeah,
and
and
I'll-
I'll have them there, and so you'll wanna be there at 6:30, there's a reception at 6,
Yeah,
but we start the program at 6:30, and do you want filet and prawns for dinner? Or do
no,
you want
actually, I don't have to eat. I'd be happy to be there, just make the presentation.
Oh, well, you can eat,
I
I've
could-
had you at my table before, I'd love you to be there if you want.
Oh, you're,
Enough of this.
Just say, yeah, you'll be. there.
okay, all right. You just-
Filet and prawns?
You'll take the flag.
Yes,
Okay. Okay. We'll work you in, and then we'll have you present it without reading it, and that'd be great, and I'll take it tonight.
okay, very good, thank you. Let me mention the names.
Sure.
First off, the Woman of the Year is Linda Burrows. Fantastic. And then it's a very unusual circumstance this year for the Men of the Year.
Is that the first time?
It's David and Sid Goldstein. Both of them very, very great people, and they're both deserving.
Yeah.
So we'll do that. And then, then also this evening, we have a proclamation from People Helping People, and I'll read that. You can stand up. And I'll stand up. If you want to be, you're on display now. 'Cause I'm going. I'll read it, and then you come up. This is a proclamation recognizing April 2017 as the Child Abuse Prevention Month in the city of Solvang. Whereas communities depend upon the successful development of people who live within them, and the children and youth under the age of 18 represent nearly 27% of the population of Santa Barbara County. And whereas foundations of success for children and youth require responsive, safe, and supportive environments that promote optimal growth and learning, starting with families, including neighborhoods, schools, and surrounding communities. And whereas in 2015, more than 5,500 referrals for suspected child abuse and neglect were made to Santa Barbara County Child Welfare Services, and over 1,000 families were referred out to community partners like the San Ynez Valley People Helping People. And the majority of the substantiated child welfare cases were due to child neglect and caregiver incapacity, often associated with the underlying risk factors such as parental abuse, substance abuse, mental illness, intimate partner violence, and chronic stress. And whereas research shows that child abuse and neglect can have long-term effects that include a far higher likelihood of mental illness, substance abuse, violence, crime, suicide, obesity, and chronic disease. And the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention have called child abuse America's #1 public health crisis. And it is estimated that for every dollar invested in the prevention saves $100 paying for the consequences of child abuse and neglect. And whereas the Santa Barbara County Child Abuse Prevention Council and the San Ynez Valley People Helping People provides a forum for effective prevention memberships between the public agencies, community-based organizations, parents, and concerned citizens that enhance family support systems, reduce risks, strengthening families so that they can nurture and keep the children safe and growing strong. Therefore, be it ordered, humbly hereby ordered and resolved that the City of Solvang, State of California, recognize April 2017 as Child Abuse Prevention Month in the City of Solvang. Signed, Jim Richardson, Mayor.
Now I can say yes. Thank you so much for the City of Solvang and council members for issuing this proclamation as April as Child Abuse Prevention Month. As you know, People Helping People is a strong partner in child abuse prevention by helping to strengthen all families so they can nurture and support their children. We focus on parental strength to build resilience and buffer children from parental stress, family challenges, and other traumatic events. I believe that the City of Solvang is an important partner as well. For many years, the City of Solvang has partnered with People Helping People to provide domestic violence intervention and child abuse prevention services to City of Solvang families. We thank the City of Solvang for its ongoing commitment to ensure that families are safe and children are growing in safe and supportive environments. With that said, I would like to invite all council members to a documentary film that we're screening at the San Ynez High School on April 4th. The title of the film is Resilience. It's an hour film. We'll follow with a panel discussion, and I'm leaving some flyers for you to attend. There's also 3 other screenings that are showing in Santa Barbara County as well, and this is through our partnership with the Child Abuse Prevention Council of Santa Barbara County. Thank you. So if I could leave these here with you.
May I mention?
Would you like to say something?
Oh, no, but do you want me to take?
Sure. If you'd like to say a word, you can.
No, it's okay.
You may.
Mayor Richardson, may I make a comment about People Helping People and their role in protecting children? Mayor?
Yes.
Me?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay. As we all know, ICE is in the valley. And if there are any parents out there that are concerned because they're undocumented about their children, People Helping People is the place to go to find some answers. And they'll tell you how to protect your children, how to get them registered if they're citizens, how to take them down to the consulates, wherever the consulates are, to get them registered, either for Mexico or Honduras or Guatemala or wherever they're from. And I really appreciate the stand-up that People Helping People is doing for those people in our community, because they're a valuable part of our community, even though they may not have come the right way. But I applaud you for helping them. Thank you.
You're welcome. Yes. And,
Thank
you know,
you.
when we talk about, traumatic events, it's all, different types of traumatic events that, children and families that may experience. And so we're here to be a supportive service to ensure that we provide the appropriate services, whether it be mental health counseling or supportive or linking them to appropriate referrals. And most than anything, just providing appropriate information. And we are pretty unique that we are a trusted organization in our community. So, but it's without the support of the city of having, that's how we also grow. It's a shared partnership that we have. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
I'd just like to make a comment too on this partnership. Since Solvang itself does not have a social service department, that's what you folks do. And we appreciate it very much.
Thank you.
And for those out there that know that we give grants out, these are the type of programs that we feel that are essential here in this community. So thank you.
We appreciate being, a provider to ensure that there's safety net services in our community. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next is the city manager's report.
Just a few things to announce. One, the sand volleyball courts at Sunny Fields are officially open, although they've been used now for probably a month between sandbox playing and volleyball. They're getting a lot of use already, so that was donated by the Youth Rec out of San Ynez. And then two other restroom updates on parks. Alisal restrooms will be closed this week while we redo the floors there, so businesses can send them to the other restroom over at Solvang Park. And secondly, the Sunny Fields restroom was down due to a failure of the wastewater pump, and we have found out that was on warranty, and that should be replaced and installed by the end of the week. So once again, but it seems to be a restroom update on the city manager this week.
Thank you. Next is communications, public communications, written or verbal. This time, please direct comments to the city council regarding consent calendar items or matters not on the agenda but within the jurisdiction of the council. Speakers are limited to 5 minutes. I have a speaker slip from Tracy Fahad, followed by Shirley Stacy.
Good evening, Mayor, City Council members, and staff. Tracy Farhad, Executive Director of the Solvang Conference and Visitors Bureau, for your tourism update. I wanted to start by just thanking the city for your investment in the Taste of Solvang. We just had our 25th annual. It was a wonderful event. You can't even kill something this good because people keep coming back. I love hearing from people from Kentucky, San Diego, Barstow, and Utah on how this is their annual event where they get together with friends and family. And we also had 23 bridesmaids descend. It's amazing. They're not getting married, they're getting married back east, but they fell in love with Solvang a while back. So it's nice to have that kind of group. What was great about the Taste of Solvang, in addition to the sponsorship, I want to thank the Visit the San Ynez Valley for their media sponsorship, and also Water for Life. We had water stations throughout town. Is that we tried to get people into the businesses. So we did a little incentive for our 25th anniversary. If it was your birthday, if it was your anniversary, if you spent $25 at a store or at a wine tasting room and you came back and showed us your receipt, we gave you prizes. So we handed out 16 prizes for those who showed us their receipts, and that's a lot for people to be willing to spend and come back to the tent to say, we did it. So we were very happy about that. We'll come back with all those numbers after our survey comes back. We also were very busy overseas. We were in Denmark, Sweden, and Norway for about 10 days. I want to thank Kim Jensen of Ingeborg's Chocolates, who did the first trade show. 66,000 consumers descended upon the middle of the country in Denmark, and he held the booth for Solvang for 3 days. And he has already received his first guests who've come into his store for his free box of chocolates. That's only if you happen to be in Denmark, so don't descend upon Kim. I also wanted to thank Jeff Paskey with Solvang Restaurant. He had been in past years. He joined me on his own dime because he wanted to be able to help out because he also has so much fun over there. So we did 3 more trade shows, one in Sweden, another consumer show, and then a travel trade show with an extra about 5,000 people that we saw. And again, we have seen visitors come back from Sweden already within 3 weeks of going to those events. Last but not least, our Atlantic Link overseas contractor, they brought a familiarization site visit this weekend. We had 10 folks from Denmark. We had 4 of the media with the major publications and outlets, and 5 of the three of the travel trade with the largest online travel agencies and their big groups there, tour operators, with the new Norwegian Air flight that goes directly into LAX. So I wanted to thank all my partners for hosting, especially our two salespeople, Greg Corso and Laura Kath, who escorted them all around town. We also were able to help welcome 6 wine writers, including a publicist from Thrill List. We got a lot of their great coverage for Eulafest in November, and he was excited to be back for other reasons. So we did that with the Vintners Association as part of our car-free project. And last but not least, that's the FAM. Oh, and that FAM, by the way, was including Los Angeles, Solvang, Monterey, and Oakland. So we were just part of that Central Coast. It's nice to be a part of that group. They now know what is open in Solvang on a Saturday night, because I'm told that they were out until 1 a.m. enjoying all the activities. So you can do that in this town, which is great. Out of those shows, we're already receiving our first tour operator business. We're able to close our first contract while at the Reno show just 3 weeks earlier. And we also were able to have our first site visit from a tour operator from that show. And we were able to book 2 groups that were coming in the fall through our new Dine Around incentive program. So again, that's all working great. Prizes, and I also really want to thank the Taste of Solving participants. And those aren't the attendees. We always love them. They come back. It's great. We were sold out on most of our events. But it's the local businesses who keep showing up. They provide the taste. They came out in droves. We had 25 vendors for our 25th anniversary on our opening night, which is becoming one of our most popular, the Sip and Savor. So again, I wanted to thank everybody who participated, who came out and did all those events, because it was a great showpiece for Solvang. And if you ever need, I'm going to China next week on behalf of Solvang, and I now have business cards in Chinese, so we can get the word out. And in case you hear it, it is true. I gave myself a Chinese name for going over there, because they give themselves American names when they come here to do business with us, and my name is Sunshine in Chinese.
So Tracy, how do you,
Don't ask me to
how do you know how
pronounce
to
it.
say it?
I knew you were going to ask me to pronounce it. I've got an app for that.
Hey, Tracy. I was curious. Could you tell me a little more about Atlantic Link? Because I think I ran into them while they were here in Solvang. So
You
can
probably
verify
did.
they're out a little late.
Yes, Atlantic Link is actually our Danish PR and advertising agency that we use out of Copenhagen. So we have been utilizing their services since before our centennial. They bring over the media. They inspire tour operators to come pick our town. So before we had them, we only had 2 Danish tour operators that were mentioning Solvang, and now through their services and through their efforts overseas, we have 22 companies, and they're spending the night.
Perfect. And then, are you the primary organization that works with them here that's local, or do we have others?
You know, they are the representation in Scandinavia for Visit California. So they are the key agency for the entire state tourism office. And then they have a couple key clients out of California in addition to the whole state. That's how we're able to piggyback on a lot of what occurs.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tracy. Shirley Stacy, followed by Tracy Beard.
Mr. Mayor, members of the City Council, I am Shirley Stacy, your city representative to the County Library Advisory Committee. And I apologize for not being here much lately, but there really hasn't been anything to report, so that's why. But we did have a meeting recently, and so that's what I'm here to tell you about tonight. The County Library Advisory Committee normally meets 4 times a year. Each meeting has reports from the library zones in Santa Barbara County, and the agenda has other items that need to be addressed also. The County Library Advisory Committee met on the 15th of March to look at the budgets from the 3 library zones: Santa Barbara Zone 1, Lompoc Zone 2, and Santa Maria Zone 3. After reviewing the budgets, the committee votes to recommend that the Board of Supervisors approve the budgets unless there are unresolved issues. If the issues remain unresolved, they can be presented to the Board of Supervisors The Board of Supervisors has a contract with each of the zones to administer the funds allocated by the county. This year was different from the years past because only 2 of the 3 zones presented budgets. Zone 1 is the zone that administers Solvang Library. They did not present a budget. The reason given for not having a budget was that the Santa Barbara City Library Administrator would be meeting with the city managers in April to negotiate a budget. Therefore, a budget presented on March 15th would be subject to change. Jessica Cadiente, the Santa Barbara City Library Administrator, went on to explain that the reserves have been pretty much depleted in the past few years and that the city was bearing the burden of administrative costs. Therefore, an increase of more than double the percent charged to the libraries in the past should be expected. It is proposed that the charge be based on the entire budget, not just the per capita, as it has been in the past. Zones 2 and 3 did present budgets. The administrative cost in Zone 2 is based on the hours they spend on administration, which amounts to $23,000 for a budget of $119,000 at the Village Library. The Lompoc Library is administered by the City of Lompoc. In Zone 3, the administrative fee is 18% of the per capita. That amounts to, for example, $47,000 for a budget of $293,000 at Orcutt Library. The committee requested that we meet again on April 12th to review the Zone 1 budget. We further requested that the steep increase proposed for the administrative fee of 18% on the budget be phased in rather than applied all at once. In addition, we asked for the administrative fee to be itemized. This has never been done previously. Another related issue is the fee is applied to donations, to all donations given to the individual libraries when the library could take care of the purchase, oftentimes it's by itself. Many times there is a considerable delay in receiving donated items or intended funding for staff members when these funds have been donated. And there's a charge, an administrative charge, of course, for that. 2 examples of this are the Buellton Library Supervisor that was funded by the city and did not start for 9 months after the funds were given, and the Goleta Children's Librarian that was funded and still has not been hired. Finally, we would like to see a subcommittee formed that would study different organizational options for the libraries of Santa Barbara County. We have done studies in the past, such as looking at possible ballot propositions that would benefit libraries. The first meeting of this subcommittee took place today in Carpinteria, but I was unable to attend. And that concludes what I have to say, but you'll see me again in April, hopefully with better news from the committee.
Are you trying to tell us that our contribution to the library will lose 19% for administration?
18.
18%. Our
Well,
contribution
actually-
to our local library, 18% of that will be taken as administrative overhead from Santa Barbara City,
Correct.
Library City.
That's correct, yes.
And the donations are included in that too? If somebody donates
They also-
$50,000?
They charge an administrative fee for that
Nothing
as well.
absolutely wrong with that. Assuming you get no donations, then what do?
Well, assuming we get no donations, we just have to forge ahead with what there is. I mean, they don't suffer.
Well, they'll have to get their 18% someplace else, then, won't they?
Well, I don't know. I mean, I don't know how that will.
I believe that's part of the discussion that's going to happen with the city managers. They're going to explain how their billing is going to go from 9% to
Seems to be
18%.
something wrong with that.
Yeah, so
Yeah, it's
we'll
really-
definitely be asking some questions about their new process.
I agree with you, by the way. And, yeah, it's, there is a recourse, and that is if we just can't be in agreement, or if the city managers don't find a way to negotiate a deal, then we can appeal to the Santa Barbara Board of Trustees, Board of Supervisors. So I don't know, how successful that would be, but it is at least a recourse.
Thank you for that. You have some,
I'm a little confused about dates. You said that you were going to talk about budgets on when?
We had a meeting about budgets on the 15th,
On the 15th, and you're not talking about it again until
the 12th of
April?
April. Yeah. Yes.
as an aside, I just learned something today, Shirley, that you were a founding member of People Helping People.
That's true.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for your
That's a long
generosity.
time ago.
That was great.
You're welcome. Okay, anything else?
Thank you.
No?
That's it. Thank you.
Great.
Tracy Beard, followed by Fred Coble.
Hello, thank you. I'm here to tell you that we have State of the City on Wednesday, and we want to let you know, invite you all to come to hear Brad talk about State of the City as our keynote speaker, and Bill McFadden as our guest speaker. So we have that going on. In front of you, you have a flag that is going to be put right before the Public Works, and this is a flag that you guys had funded for us, and we just would like to kind of get a little approval on it, and this is hopefully to go up like the Taste of Solvang flags are still up, so we'd like to put it up right after an event is done to make people think, shop local, and to grow their community. And we have the Danish flag, and we have the little flag for the holiday flag during the holiday season that we'd like to do. So we would just like a little comment and your approval as we move forward on this.
These are the ones that would be mounted on the light posts?
Yeah, these are the ones that are mounted on the light post, yes.
That's great.
And I think it fits in with the city specs, and we'll move forward. But if you all like it, we would just kind of like to have a, little consensus as, everyone on our city council likes it as we move forward.
You may briefly comment, but you can't, it's not on the agenda. So.
Yes, yes,
No.
this, and do we have an ordinance or facility that we rotate these things out?
Yeah, we have an application process. I actually handed
Yeah.
her the
I
application
got my application.
tonight, so yeah, we'll go through
Very
the
nice
process.
looking.
So
Okay.
how long do these get to stay up?
That's not a simple question. We have a lot of competing needs for the banners, and so we have certain set times that ones go in, and then we have infill ones, we have ones that rotate. It's a very complicated process. I think the council, we had it before the council several years ago and established the process, and so as a new entity comes in, we try to work them into the system of rotation. So it can be, I think typically it's a couple of weeks to 2 to 4 weeks. Typically it depends on how the times work, so.
Okay, and you might want to determine what's the best time to catch the tourist's eye with these too. What time of year would be best for these? I know you want us to shop local, but we shop local. So maybe you might want to determine when you want these to be flown at good times of the year. Check it out on the calendar.
Yeah, we noticed in the month of November, December, there wasn't as many events going up with flags, so we would like to that was one of our requests, was to put it in during that time, and maybe in January as people have sales. And we know other things go up. We've kind of spent a year looking at what goes up, and then now we typically keep some of the flags up because we just don't have another event going on, so flags stay up. So we just like to put them up as other events are coming down throughout the year, about 4 to 5 times a year for about 2 to 4 weeks, just to keep people knowing that we do want them to stay local as much as possible.
Thank you, Tracy.
Tracy, the little gizmo on the right, that's called a klimmerhoes. And
It's called what?
a klimmerhoes.
Oh,
And what it is a little woven paper basket that hangs off of trees, and you put peanut or candy or whatever in it. But
You
that's,
don't have to do that with the flag.
you don't have to do that. I mean, but I'm just, is not a flag.
I knew better than to pronounce it. See,
You-
someone
okay,
told me, but
all
I knew
right.
better than to pronounce it tonight.
Chicken.
I know. And then we have our walk shop wine It's Walk, Shop, Wine, and Dine. We are kicking off for our Solvang Third Wednesday on the 19th for our media. So we are kicking off our third Wednesday at a new program, so we'd like you all to come and our media. So, and it'll be a great new event.
Thank you,
But,
Tracy.
you know, what I'm thinking though is that if you want to choose between them, the Klimahuis one, that's very appropriate around Christmas.
That's why we want to do 10 of each, so we can put some of them up all the time, and the 10 up at Christmas definitely, because we said only real Danes know what the heart was. Only real Danish folks knew what that meant. Okay, well, thank you very much, and thank you very much for the funding you've given to the chamber.
Thank you, Tracy. Fred Koval?
You've probably received, I'm sure, from the city clerk, a copy of the rainfall on my hill, up to date, and it shows a total of 22.15 inches. Also, I did send every one of you an email about Sunday's Santa Barbara New Press article entitled "Kachuma Inches Up to 50% by Mitchell White. And I did send a response to him or her. And in the copy, it shows exactly how I responded. There is a better link than what Santa Barbara County provides, a lower number. I enjoyed Sunday's, in the Voices section of the Santa Barbara News Press, an article by Harris Sherline. And he really nailed it. And that is, in politics and government, facts and logic just don't ever show up. So I want to call your attention to last city council meeting. Item 7 had to do with water rates, discussion, and direction. And item 8 had to do with investment policy in this city. Facts and logic. You know, we've never heard a clear answer about San Luis Reservoir. Nor did we ever hear, we do know one thing, that we gave away 900 acre feet to Metropolitan Water District, where we lost a third, or 300 acre feet. And it wasn't we, the city, it was the ratepayers. Now you can do all kinds of math as to how much money that amounts to. I preferred, since it was state water that was stored up there, I prefer to use the number of 1,800 acre feet. That's over $500,000 that was paid into. And even if you use the lowball number of $328,000 lost, that's still out of the ratepayer's pocketbook. So we paid that at one point in time, okay, and we still don't know. We do know that Metropolitan Water District, we gave them 3 and we're getting 2 back, okay? Now the other issue, we've never had a report about the 450 acre feet. Did it spill or didn't it spill? What's the status of that? Okay, think about that. So you got some number up there that's pretty big. Okay, let's move on to item 8, the investment policy that you all signed up for. We're going to earn somewhere maybe as high as 1.8%. What does that add up to on a yearly basis? Not very much in the way of investment. And definitely, it will never repay the amount of money that was lost with the decisions about San Luis Reservoir. Never in any of our lifetimes are we going to make that up. There was no connectivity between those issues. I gave you an opportunity to invest at least a little bit more, maybe double, but nobody went for it. Nobody went for changing banks or using a local broker or buying muni bonds. So, something's got to change around here. I promised you guys one thing, that I will come up with a chart or a graph that'll show you when the city of Solvang, because of pension liabilities, will have to declare bankruptcy. I'm working on it.
Thank you, Fred. Is there anyone else with any would like to speak? We have no other speaker slips. Seeing none, come back to the council. For council comments and requests, would you like to start, Mr. Zimmerman?
Just one comment. Fred, you put a smile on my face. Thank you.
I'd just like to announce that I'm going fully electronic tonight, so no binder, and just hope I get everyone's patience as I kind of work through that transitional process. And then just to clarify, it does say in the packet that our meetings are still live on Channel 23. Is that still accurate, or are we doing both, or
Yeah,
just one?
We're supposed to be doing both.
Okay. And let's see if I had anything else. I just wanted, how accurate are the advanced agendas? Because I've planned some trips, bought some tickets.
It's a work in progress. Certain items are pretty well fixed, like the budget hearing we do in June. That's the first meeting in June, and we usually adopt the budget the second meeting in June. But I'd have to talk which items you're talking about. But
So I'm not talking about just the specific item, but just the dates. So if I
the
just,
council dates?
Yeah,
Oh,
just
yeah,
the
those
council.
are fixed.
so I can
Yeah.
set something a year from now, and
You
if
sure
I
can.
follow your
Yeah,
calendar.
unless there's a holiday, unless it's a
Okay.
legal holiday, it falls on that second and fourth Monday.
Okay, but that wouldn't change the dates. It would just mean there would be no.
It would go to
meeting that day.
Tuesday. So if a holiday, if it hits on a legal holiday, very few
Got it.
happen like that, then we move it to Tuesday.
Okay.
Mr. Deuce?
No comments tonight.
Ms. Jameson?
Tracy's still here. Taste of Solvang was really wonderful. It was delightful. And there were certainly a lot of people in town, and there were a lot of people in town this last weekend. What was going on? Is it spring break? Okay. Okay. Well, there were a lot of people in town. And I encouraged a couple of people that I met to shop. Not just look, but shop. And they kind of smiled. She said, "We're doing that." And they held up their bags, so that's good. I was sorry to have missed the dedication of the sand volleyball courts over there. They're right in my backyard practically, as they are in the mayor's backyard. And they're very nice, and I think it's quite an addition to that park over there. And I hope that Todd Rogers takes some time and teaches the kids how to play sand volleyball, and they will go on to the Olympics like he did. And I think that's all I have to say. Thank you.
The sand volleyball courts are a hit. I think that those of you that are planning a sand volleyball career ought to jump right into that on the high school teams. There's two girl high school teams out there that we're practicing, and it's taken, a lot of folks are just over there playing volleyball, so it's good to have. I want to mention that after a year's hiatus, my favorite out-of-town convention is coming back next February.
Well, the Greyhounds.
The Greyhounds are back, so they'll be here February 22nd through the 25th of next year. They're a fantastic organization. And then also, last week on the Travel Channel, you'll be happy to note that one of our longtime bakers and Danes, Ben Olson, was featured on a Travel Channel feature featuring his Red Viking restaurant. We got about he got about 4 minutes on the tail end part of it, but it was a good presentation. It showed him cooking some fantastic, and I can't pronounce it, Danish food. So with that, we'll go on to the correspondence received by City Council. The one letters, anybody wants to mention that letter that we received from Nancy Orchard? I guess not. Speaking on the approval of the agenda as presented, anybody wish to change any, shift around the agenda? Seeing none, on to the City Council minutes of March the 13th. Is there any additions, corrections, or deletions to the minutes? And if not, can I have a motion approving?
Actually, I did have a couple corrections. Let's see.
Okay.
So there's a section there where it says, Councilmember Toussaint broke down his suggestions using scenario
Which
4.
page? Which
No, we don't have the pagination there.
Page 4 of
Title.
5, 4 of 5 in the minutes.
Oh, page 4. Okay, yeah.
It says use scenario 4 with 60-40 split, reduce meter charges, use a volumetric rate increase of 4.43%. I'm just not sure where that came from. It just seems erroneous.
It came from the tape during the discussion.
I did re-listen to it, but I've not seen where the volumetric rate increase of, like, I wouldn't want to just raise the volumetric by 4.43. It's a really erroneous number for specific, just for a volumetric rate increase. So I just wanted to remove that from the,
Remove that section of that sentence.
yeah, use a
Okay.
volumetric rate increase 4.43%.
Okay.
And then my second, it said there was a council consensus to bring back a 5-year rate increase at the 5.5% recommended annual increase with 2 scenarios, one with a single tier for all users and one with a 2-tier option. And that's all completely accurate, but I believe that what we set up here was that the maximum would be 5.5%, but given the gifting and the load modification that we just did, we weren't, I don't think we said that we were just blanketing saying that we're agreeing to the suggested rate increases as they are.
Yeah, actually, any of those that you set, their maximum, they're up to. They're an annual up to increase, so that's, we could change that to up to, but through the process, when we do finally set the rates, it's gonna be, if you say 5.5 annually, it's gonna be up to, and then each year we do address, are we gonna use the full 5.5, or are we gonna do something less? We do that annually.
Okay, I was just confused because here it just kind of says that we're agreeing to raise by 5.5 year over year, whereas I think what I was told was that that would be the maximum.
Right, so we could change that to up to.
Okay.
Year over year. It's up to 5.5% year over year.
But when they bring back the new numbers and we have we reworked the loan, so the 0.7% loan, and then we talked about the gifting the water meters, then that's going to adjust the expenses in our rate covenant. So it doesn't mean that we necessarily need the.
Well, it doesn't mean that we'll need that 5.5%, but we will determine at the time whether we will use the 5.5% or some other lesser percent.
When it comes back.
Yes.
When, at each.
Yeah, we'll have them evaluate.
That'll come back real.
We'll have them
soon, right?
evaluate if it can be less than 5.5, I
Got
think
it.
is what you're
Okay.
saying.
But
What's gonna happen is the next time you hear it, we'll be asking you to basically set the notice to begin the Prop 218 procedures. That will also be, so what this says to my legal brain is what we're supposed to bring back to you is something that maxes out at 5.5% with those different scenarios. You will then, as a council, direct us what goes in, what is the maximum you want to go into the Prop 218 notice. It may remain 5.5%, it may not. You guys will make that decision collectively.
Okay.
Before you, then again,
Mhm.
you go through the whole Prop 218 process and there's no protest vote, so the rate goes into effect. It remains a maximum rate.
Okay.
So that annually, this council, even though it isn't required by law, the council traditionally here, and you have consistently so directed, is the rates don't go into effect automatically. We bring it up, you make a decision as to whether or not to go to the maximum amount or to go to some lesser amount. And in fact, in the past, there has been a time or two where the council did not go to the maximum amount, even though it had already been approved through the Prop 218 process.
Okay. So to make it more clear for me, or when I'm reading it, if it just used the word maximum, then it would fix that issue that I'm talking about? Okay.
Yeah, it's actually, from a legal perspective, it's fixed anyway, because it's not, the minutes aren't binding. In other words, no one would be able to argue at this next council meeting. If we look at the minutes, you're required to go to 5.5%.
Okay.
All that happened was staff got direction to bring some things back, but don't make it any bigger than this.
Perfect.
I'm not gonna look at it.
Thank you.
What Roy is saying is very true. We have been lower. As 1 year, I don't think we even increased. That was during the
remember
drought. We
someone saying
didn't. We decided not to increase at all. So we've certainly never been hampered by this.
That's exactly what I wanted to hear. So perfect.
Okay, then can I have a motion accepting the minutes with those changes?
I'll move.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstain, passed 5-0. I said aye. On to next item. Next item is the consent agenda. Does anybody wish to pull any of the consent agenda items?
I'd like to pull E for discussion.
I'd like to pull 6C for discussion.
6C for discussion. Which one?
E.
E?
What did you?
6C and E.
I want to pull B.
And you want to pull B. Okay, for discussion?
Yeah.
For action?
Request, or discussion.
Discussion. All right, then, let's have a motion accepting, well, no, we'll do the whole thing once, since there's no action going to be taken on any of these items, just for discussion. We'll make one motion for the whole works. So, Mr. Zimmerman, would you like to start with 6B, please?
I just had a request on the, for the Conference and Visitors Bureau. On the financials, is there any way I could get a copy of maybe the last 3 years of financials and expenses and revenue type thing? Okay, thanks, that's all.
Okay, 6C.
All right, so 6C. Do you guys want to read out what that one
What
is?
do we do? You're just going to discuss.
Okay. So, let's see. I guess what I was wanted to talk about was potentially going to a 3-year audit cycle, maybe with a slightly higher fee to report on a 3-year history versus yearly, just because it'd reduce costs, increase efficiency, staff and council time. We already go through an annual budget, a semi-annual, and then this is kind of like a repeat again. And I'm just kind of looking, you're forcing staff to redo this, and it's going to take staff time each year, whereas we could be working on other projects to benefit the community.
Are you suggesting that you want to see a multiple year cycle on the budget?
Well, right now, the way that we do it is once a year. It's a $35,000 expense to the city plus staff and council time. So if we just, but the last report shows that we're doing very well with our financials. There's no hiccups, haven't been any hiccups in 10 years. Maybe we should just do this once every 3 years.
If this were a business, you could do that, but the law requires that we have an audit every year.
So I thought I had a discussion and this was optional.
I think the discussion was the CAFR, so the actual
CAFR.
CAFR document that Terry helps us prepare that, but
Okay.
he has to, also part of this 33,000 is to perform our annual audit.
So
As-
they're mixed.
So, yeah, it's two portions of work
Okay.
that he does. So we are required by law to have an annual audit, independent audit. We also then use him under this contract to give us information to do the comprehensive annual financial report. That's the document that we're not obligated to do.
But that's probably going to be a very small cost. What's
I don't know if Sandra has a number off the top of her head or what portion that is, but I don't think it's going to be a
I
huge
thought
number.
it was the whole thing. I
No,
thought
it's
this
not.
35,000 a year is just for this CAFR.
Sandra Featherson, your Administrative Services Director. No, the amount actually covers the work that he's doing pretty much for the audit. He comes out twice a year, wants to do preliminary work in the spring, and then for the final audit in September, October, when the books are closed. And so the work he's doing to generate the notes and the financials, all of that, he would pretty much do anyway, because he's got to generate all the financial statements, and those are carried into the CAFR that we prepare. So I don't have a breakdown per se. He gives us an amount, and it kind of covers all the work related to doing the complete audit and providing the notes and the financials.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Sandra. Item 6E.
Yeah, I'd just like to comment on the letter that was authored. I think it's, I appreciate it. I wish it could have been worded even stronger. But I just want to thank the author of this letter for stepping up and getting it for us. Thank you, Joni.
Do we need to read that letter into the record, or is
No.
the basis of the letter is that the city of Solvang supports Senate Bill 1, which is infrastructure funding.
No, this is the drought item. Drought task
That's
force
the
item.
Oh, okay. Yes, that would too. All right. With that,
Wait a minute. Are we all in agreement with the resolution? Does it read the way we want it to read? Are there any changes? Because it was pulled last time.
no,
For
I have,
change.
That's fine, that's fine. It's
I think it's great. I mean,
The
we could spend more
resolution's
time
good
making
enough?
it prettier and stuff, but
Okay.
I would like to have seen the bullet train comment stay in, but
I was advised to take that out.
I know you were.
what are we doing to get this out to other agencies to get them to support our letter, kind of being proactive on that, getting more support from other entities?
We have two tiers here. The drought resolution is going to go in a packet to the county, and the county's going to submit that to the state. And that has all the water agencies within the county that are submitting, believe most of them are submitting resolutions of support for the Santa Barbara County's project list. So that's one item. That's B and C. And then from that, A and C, A and B. From that discussion, it came, we should also then author a separate letter to the governor in regards to perceived lack of water storage over the last many years.
But do these other agencies receive this letter as well, and can they help support
We
us
could
in
copy
this?
them. I mean, I don't know that we're going to direct that drive necessarily as the city, but I think there was a feeling that the city of Solvang would support this drought resolution, but also thought we should have a separate action.
Right. I mean, I guess I'd like to see us driving it and being kind of proactive and pushing this out to other entities and getting them to support us on this item here.
If that's a consensus of the council, we
if
could do
that's the
that.
case, we're going to have a motion to deal with that, because that's not part of the consent calendar to discuss, to add to that.
So
I
just
believe.
basically, I mean, you could direct us tonight to copy this letter to the other
think that's a good-
agencies, and we could do that. I mean, I don't think that
Now,
that
what-
would be out of our purview.
Which agencies are we talking about that we're going to copy?
Well, the county, obviously, they're one of them. Matt, who all was involved with the drought task force?
All the people have asked for money.
Most of that, yeah.
Good evening, Mayor Richardson, council members, Matt Vanderlinden, your Public Works Director and City Engineer. Pretty much all of the, not all, but almost all of the water purveyors, water agencies within the county participated in the various meetings with the Drought Task Force. So I can't really think of any off the top of my head that did not, but I'm sure that it wasn't 100%, but I think they came to the first meeting. But, yeah, so we could send it out basically to all the water purveyors in the county.
Is there a kind of agreement on that?
I would agree with that. send
There's
it out.
only one change I'd like to make. I'd like every council member to sign the letter.
I'd be
Not-
happy
not
to
just-
send it.
Not just to have it from the mayor, but have all the council, take ownership of it, if you want to.
Sure.
You don't have to.
Well, it says, and, it does say they're in the Solvang City Council.
Right, but it doesn't list us.
Oh, okay.
I want signatures, Put your
So
John
then we-
Henry
So then we
down.
need to delay this another,
No. I don't
Yeah,
think
it says all council members, so I don't think that would be a significant change to have each individual one sign,
okay.
if that's the consensus.
Yeah, if everybody wants, if you don't want to sign it, let us know now. Okay. So don't put his name down there. So we shouldn't have it the Solvang City Council then, because we're not in agreement with it. So just have the three of us plus the mayor that are in agreement to it.
You could leave city council members on there, that's fine, I'm cool with that.
No, I'm not.
I'll need direction from the council as to how you'd like the signature line.
If the other rest of us want to sign it, then we should. If there is an individual that doesn't wish to sign it, then they don't have to. We can sign, do you want titles, name and city council member, or just your signature?
No, it tells that we're city council members, and whoever the pro tem is, he should be notarized as a pro tem.
I think we should all be, listed and signed.
Okay.
All those that want to sign.
Are we at a position where we need to vote on something like that?
No, I think staff direction on how the salutations on the letter is fine.
Okay.
So you still need to vote on the overall item.
All right, it will read, city council members, and each city council member that wishes to sign it will sign it with their title. Is that correct?
That's what I'm getting.
Okay.
There is a mistake. It was in 1991 that we voted for state water, not 1992. Isn't that right? I think that's what.
Fred knows the answer to that.
That's what a magic
91?
person said in our water data. in our wa-
1991?
1991. Isn't that right?
Voted in an off year?
That was the election year?
Well, that's when we
election
took
year, okay.
action on it. Okay, whatever.
All right.
Can I just give 10 seconds?
Just 10 seconds.
Taking me that long to walk up here. I just, while you're picking up on this, you're gonna send it to all the water agencies. Boy, that's really the smartest thing in the world you could do. But I also like to, for your consideration, think about a couple of other agencies, like Alisal Ranch, who's on this river, who's part of this thing, and that's what you're directing it about, and also the Chumash, because they're getting the same kind of water. So, expand, I assume Lompoc, is a water agency you're sending it to, is all of them, as well as Buellton. But, yeah, think outside the box a little bit.
Thank you. All right, let's have a motion accepting the consent calendar with those.
I'll make a motion that we accept the consent calendar with the change, with the added signatures on the letter and item E.
Is there a second?
Resolution number 17, next in line. It has to be roll call.
You can do one roll call for the entire consent agenda.
We have to do a roll call for the entire consent agenda.
You said you can do one roll call for the entire.
Yes, we
consent. You
can.
don't have to do it all
Right.
you don't have to separate them out, because you just pulled them for discussion.
Exactly.
So as I understood the motion, it was the entire consent agenda with the changes to the letter.
Yeah, that was, I believe that's what I said, wasn't it?
I heard that. Is there a second?
I'll
Second.
second it.
It's been moved and seconded. May I have a roll call vote, please?
Councilmember Deuce,
Yes.
Zimmerman,
Yes.
Jameson,
Yes.
Toussaint,
Yes.
Mayor Richardson.
Yes, and that passes with 5-0. On to the regular agenda, item number 7.
Item 7, Solvang School Crosswalk Art Program.
Staff report.
Good evening, Mayor, City Council. Fred Lagerman with the Solvang Parks and Recreation, the Director. And I will keep my staff report short because, as you can see, we have folks from Solvang School who are biting at the bit to get back to their homework. So this discussion is about a proposed crosswalk art over at Solvang School. The school has reached out to us, to the city, to propose a joint community involvement project, and the school would like to offer its students, grades 6th through 8th, a crosswalk design contest. The project, inspired by Lompo's creative crosswalk project, and you have a picture of that in your packet of one of the examples, would be administered by the Solvang School and the school's art teacher who is here with us tonight. The general parameters of the contest include design dimensions, specific colors allowed, which are yellow and white proposed, and appropriate design drawings. And there are also more details in your attachment B included in your packet. Solvang School will be seeking community sponsors to participate in the event. A panel consisting of potential judges from the school, the city, or others will elect the winning design or designs. And the stencils will be created, and the city's Public Works Department would apply the design to the crosswalk. There are up to 4 crosswalks that may be designed and painted. There are no direct fiscal impacts to the city other than staff time, which approximately 2 people of 5 hours' time would take to apply the design. And I have here with us the superintendent, Steve Seaford, and the art teacher who I'd like to introduce at this time, Devin Espejo.
Good evening, Council. Thank you for having us. My name is Devin Espejo. I am the art teacher at Solvang School, and I'm really excited to present this project to you. And we thought, who better to bring than our students themselves, the ones who've been hard at work trying to create some designs. So they're going to come up and talk to you, and we will show you some of our potential designs. Obviously, these are real rough kind of sketches that we're working on, but we wanted to share them with you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Reagan Bouchard, and I'm an 8th grader at Solvang School, and I'm in Mrs. Bayo's art class. Mrs. Bayo introduced the project by showing us pictures of places like Lompoc and other places that did similar things with the crosswalks. One of the requirements is that our paint had to be white and yellow. Another requirement is that we had to get our ideas able to get stenciled so they can get stenciled over and over again. Hi, my name is Logan.
Pull that mic down just a little bit, please. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Logan Melville. I'm in 7th grade at Solvang School, and I'm in Mrs. Bejo's art class. We have some different themes we developed for the sidewalk. One is our school. At our school, we have a program called SAM, Solving Arts Music, and it promotes the arts. So we have some examples like drama, music, science, art, and our next theme is Solvang. So Solvang is known for Vikings, Danish culture, and the wine county. So we have some windmills, the Vikings, some grapevines. And our next theme is the design. Designs could be geometrical, Zentangle, and we have some nature designs here.
Hello, my name is Charlie Healy. If this project is approved, we will select a design team of about 5 students to help select and perfect one design our team can agree on. If we can't agree on one, we may just create one in our team. We got a lot of great designs, but they were just a little too elaborate to be stenciled. It is important for a design to be stenciled over, and that is our team's purpose, to find that project or design for it to be stenciled and created. Thank you.
Now, the first question I have, it's going to be for the 4 crosswalks at Eucalyptus, or it's at Laurel and Atterdag, right?
So there's two right on the corner of Laurel and Atterdag, and then there's two, which is sort of in between the upper and lower campus, and then there's two right in front of the entrance to Solvang School on Atterdag.
And you've come up with those designs already?
Yes, we started with rough drafts, and then we went ahead and did kind of a final one in color, so you can really get the idea of how it would look. And as Charlie was mentioning, as far as assembling a design team to work through kind of kinks in the stenciling process itself, because it does need to be something that can be a simple stencil repeated. So, you know, this idea is great, but we have to get it into one stencil that could be repeated. So that's the idea of our design
Really
team.
innovative designs. They really look cool. Is there any comments for the, what?
We should all take presentation lessons from those kids.
You know, I just want to say that I'm very happy to see this. I like this, you know, I like the students getting some practical practical use for an art project. Some of you might grow up to be designers or artists, making a living that way, and you know, you'll learn that you'll have to work within parameters. And so this, I think, is just a great lesson for you, and I think it's you know, it's going to look really neat at the crosswalks. So you guys are doing a really good job. Some neat concepts. Looking forward to seeing what we finally end up with. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other comments? I just want to say, for the first time you've been before us, you three guys, you did a wonderful job. Great presentations, and thank you for doing it. And come and see us again. Is there any other on the staff report? And Mr. Seaford, thank you.
Certainly, thank you.
I guess the only thing left would be for you guys to make the motion to approve.
Thank you, Fred.
Direct staff to.
Direct staff to.
Now we have to go to public comment. Is there any, I have no speaker slips. Is there anyone in the public that wishes to make a comment on this particular agenda item? Seeing none, we'll bring it back to the council for discussion and action. Who would like to start? Mr. Deuce, since you had some good comments.
No, I think I already made my comments, and I'm ready to make a motion. I'll hold off with my motion if anybody else wants to make comments. Otherwise,
Other comments?
I think it's all great.
I think it's great, too. I just want to know how much it's going to cost us.
Some staff time.
The report was 10
5
hours of staff
10
time.
hours, and about how much is that?
That's math. I don't
Yeah.
do.
Well,
If you ask a public employee, they're going to tell you not very much.
Well, no. In essence, it's a diversion of resource, so it's not like it's additional cost. We're paying that employee
Okay.
regardless. So it's whether he's emptying a trash can or he's painting the street.
So
it's
this
just a
isn't in
diversion of labor.
addition to?
Right. This isn't overtime or anything
Okay,
like that. Yeah.
okay, thank you.
All right, then can I have a motion?
I'll make the motion that we go with staff recommendation.
I'll second it.
It's been moved and seconded. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Deuce?
Yes.
Jamison?
Yes.
Toussaint?
Yes.
Zimmerman?
Yes.
Mayor Richardson?
Yes, that passes with a 5-0. Congratulations, kids. We expect to see a great project out of this. Did the art teacher, did you bring it, was it your idea, or did the kids bring that to you, or?
It was something that Dr. Seifert brought to my attention that we discussed.
Good, good.
And
Thank,
we thought it was important for them to learn the whole idea of a design process and a design team, and really how it goes through so many phases before it actually just gets put there on the sidewalk.
I, for one, appreciate the work that you're doing in the arts and the music. It's great stuff over there at the school. Thank you very much. On to item 8.
Item 8, request to renew the licenses with Solvang Trolley and Carriage Company to allow continued use of the horse-drawn conveyance and one diesel trolley for tours in Solvang.
We'll let the room them clear. Wow, we did have an audience, but they're gone.
Hard to follow that
Yeah,
youthful
right.
energy.
Staff report, Ollie.
Good evening. Holly Owen, Planning Director, Mayor, City Council members. Before you tonight is a consideration of a request to renew the licenses with Solvang Trolley and Carriage Company to allow the continued use of their horse-drawn conveyances and one diesel trolley for tours in Solvang. As you all are probably familiar with this service, it provides daily service. There are maps that are attached. They are a family who's been doing this successfully and in a way that we certainly have approved for a number of years now. They're requesting a renewal of the license for 2 conveyances and 1 carriage for the horse-drawn, and then also for 1 diesel trolley bus. Just a reminder about the requested process. Council in 2015 directed staff that all the conveyance contracts be brought to you at the same time of the year. So they should all come up for review and renewal on June 30th. And for us to bring this particular set of licenses into that time frame, we are asking that they have a 14-month contract renewal. The applicants are here tonight, the Salvador Arona and his son, I believe? Yes, okay. And so they would be here to answer any questions that you might have. You could make modifications to these licenses, choose not to renew the horse-drawn conveyance license, or choose not to renew the trolley tours license, and changes could also be made to the routes or loading areas should that be deemed appropriate. That concludes my staff report. I'm here to answer any questions, and so are the applicants.
Thank you. Is there any questions of the staff report? Seeing none, Sal, would you like to speak, or and one of you would like to say something, please?
Well, good evening, Mayor and City Council. On behalf of my family, we just want to let you guys know we're very happy to be here in Solvang. My dad brought to my attention, it's been almost 10 years since we've been working here, and I still remember my very first day. I was 17 years old, and it was my first job to the public, so it was quite an experience. And every day we're always happy to help the people that come to Solvang, and just make their day worth being here. So
Thank you very much. Any other comments back there? No? With that, we'll take it to the public then. Is anybody in the public wish to make comments? Have no speaker slips? Bring it back to the council. Oh, okay, Sal. I knew you'd come up there and do that. Before you say anything, I want to congratulate you on what you've done since coming to town. Starting with the trolley and then the expansion of your businesses. And it's a real American story, and we appreciate that.
Thank you. Well, I want to take the opportunity to talk to you. My name is Sal Orona. Almost everybody know now. It's an honor to direct these words to you, the City Council, the Mayor, and Brad. I want to say thank you for the opportunity that you give me in the last 10 years. We're going to accomplish this November, since we take over the trolley. And we have a great opportunity to work and take care of our tourists that come from almost the whole world. And I feel blessed, like my family, because we find a place that we can call home. We have the opportunity to grow our family in number, but in the age, in the maturity. I am so proud of my kids, but we had the chance to grow the business at the point that, not because I want to say that, but too many people told me about we are doing a great job and bring back the trolley to the service like not somebody did before. In these 53 years that the Honen get running in Solvang, never have the amount of horses that the trolley have in service now. The most horses that had before, when in the best time that the trolley get, was 3 horses. Now the trolley get 4 teams, that means 8 horses. We can rotate it. We are so fair with the horses. We don't like be named like abuse people with the horses because it's no or sense. You know, those are beautiful animals, so kind, gentle, and that way is because we feel we are blessed to have those horses working for the town. We are not the owners of the company. The horses own the company, actually.
Yeah.
They own us. And, well, we are happy to be part of this community. And, again, thank you for giving us the chance to be part of this.
Well, thank you, Sal. And actually, the way those horses behave is a reflection on you and your horsemanship and your ability to handle those animals. And it's and there's nothing wrong with the way they perform in town. It's a beautiful job. I love to see them going through town. It really adds something to the flavor of our city.
Yes.
Thank
I
you.
agree with you. Thank you. Any questions? I am so happy to.
I'd just like to make a comment. You have made yourself a part of this community, you and your family, by your participation. So I just like to thank you and your family for doing what you do. Yes, you are very much part of the community, very important part of the community. And so continue on.
Thank you. I appreciate your words. And thanks for, I want to say thank you again for being part of my family.
Thank you, Sal. And if there's no other comments, we'll bring it back to the council for action. Does anybody have any comments, discussion, or can I have a motion?
I have some comments.
Yes.
I just want to thank you guys for having patience with having to do this process every, what are we doing this now, every 3 months or 4 months? It seems like I see you guys here more than anybody else. So I truly want to, thank you for your services for the community, and thank you for having to put up with this more regularly than I guess anybody else. Thank you.
Any other comments?
Is there any way we can reduce that cycle?
So that, the cycle that's ending right now was a 2-year cycle. They had come back on some signage issues, but yeah, we had done 2 years because we've historically had a good time with that. But this particular time, if you remember back last year, the council asked that all the conveyances get dialed out down to 1 time, so that's where we went to 14 months. You could actually add another 12 to that and go to 26 if you like. If you feel comfortable with that, you could make that amendment to the contract. So we were just trying to get everybody on the same cycle because that was a request of the council. So, but it was a 2-year term in the last one, and the code really says every year, to be honest.
So we could extend just theirs longer than just.
You could do that. I don't think that'd be a problem. Yeah.
Is there any consideration to extending the term another year?
I have no problem with this applicant, but I remember the conversation about having all the conveyances at one time, and I think that's a good thing. If we want to stretch Sal's operation out a little bit, I have no problem with that. But I just want to make sure that we have them all in sync somewhere along the line.
Could we stretch it, but then sync it with the next?
Well, so currently you really are down to 2 types of contracts. You have 2 year contracts, and then you have 3 year contracts. 2 year contracts, you have 2 years, and then 3 year contracts, you have 3 years. So currently you really are down to 2 types of contracts. You have 2 year contracts, and then you have 3 year contracts. 2 year contracts, you have 3 years, and then 3 year contracts. 2 year contracts, you have 3 years, and then 3 year contracts. 2 year contracts, you have 3 years, and then 3 year contracts. 2 year contracts, you have 3 years, and then 3 year contracts. 2 year contracts, you have 3 years, and then 3 year contracts. 2 year contracts, you have 3 years, and then 3 year contracts. 2 year contracts, you have 3 years, and then 3 year contracts. 2 year contracts, you have 3 years, and then 3 year contracts. 2 year contracts, you have 3 years, and then 3 year contracts. 2 year contracts, you have the Segways, which are on an annual contract, and we brought them to the June 30 cycle. You're going to be seeing their update coming in the next month. And then Solvang Trolley actually has the 3 horse conveyances and then the motorized. I think the issue last time, they actually were going for 2 motorized at that point, and so there was quite a bit of conveyances, but to be honest, most of them were owned by one company, so they were sort of controlling that. The other is the Surreys, and they're on they're not on a recirculating thing. They just have to provide insurance annually. So each of these was done differently when they were created. The Surreys were back probably when the city incorporated, I would bet, similar, one of those few years. I mean, as is the Honan. The horse-drawn conveyance, we can tell you, having done history, looking back on this, it's had a lot of different variety, but this is definitely one of the best providers of it that we've had. So yeah, you're more than welcome to do that. I would, the June 30 is I guess it was what we had heard from the last discussion at the council level for that, and that's where we brought the Segways to that June 30th. They are now on a June 30 cycle. If you go to 26 months, then this group will be on that same June 30th cycle.
That would be fine with me. And I think one of the things that at that time when we set a time, there were other interested parties.
Yeah, actually, I take that back. There was a PD cycle, a little bike taxi that didn't last but a year.
Right,
So yeah,
yeah.
there was, you're right, there was one other, but that's gone and expired.
Well, would somebody like to make a motion?
I'll make a motion that we go with probably staff recommendation, and I'd say let's, unless you guys want to come back in 14 months, we'll see you in 26 months. We always like to see you. And if you weren't here, I mean, we'd be playing to our staff. So
We are happy to be here, but if you can give us a longer term, that make it easy for us, and, but it's in your hands.
yeah, I have no problem with 26 months.
I'll second that.
So this would expire then in 2019, June 30, 2019. Okay, so the motion is staff recommendation, but change the from a 14-month renewal to a 26-month renewal this cycle. Is there a second?
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Oppose? Abstain? Pass 5-0. Thank you, guys. Great job. Great job. You're a real asset to our city and one of our treasures, so thank you very much.
Thank you so much. And thank you, name of the horses too.
Yeah.
We have 2 new girls. Their name is Ginger and Bella. And they are pullers. They are very, very white girls.
Yep.
We lost our Rita, our retired one.
Yeah.
Was
She's going to go out to pasture?
Rita?
Yeah.
No, yeah, well, she was retired for 4 years. She was the mayor with the Jim Beck own.
Yeah.
When we got the trolley. And so she hadn't, well, she was retired and
She passed. Yeah.
that was some kind of hard.
Yeah, it was. Well, thanks again, guys. We really appreciate you.
Okay, well,
Thank you.
Have a good night.
See you.
Thank you, bye.
On to item 9.
Item 9, resolution adopting Measure A, 5-year local program of projects for fiscal years 2018 to 2022.
Staff report.
Okay, good evening again, Mayor Richardson and council members. So, Measure A is a retail transaction and use tax of 0.5% approved by the Santa Barbara County voters in November 2008 for the construction, maintenance, repair, and rehabilitation of existing roads and bikeways, and for the provision or expansion of public transit services. 34.5% of the funds generated are allocated to Highway 101 HOV widening, 64.5% to local agencies for projects such as Solvang, and 1% for Santa Barbara County Association of Government administrative costs. The measure became effective on April 1, 2010, and disbursement of revenues began in July 2010. Revenues are distributed according to the approved Measure A investment plan. In addition to its local agency allocation, there are $3 million in Measure A funds earmarked in the regional projects section for circulation improvements through Solvang along and in the vicinity of Mission Drive. So annually, SB-CAG provides an estimate of the apportionment of Measure A revenues, and the City of Solvang must prepare an annual program of projects highlighting the projects to be funded with these revenues. The Public Works Department has developed the program of projects based on the City Council established priorities and a maintenance strategy that considers the needs of motorists, pedestrians, cyclists, and other modes of travel. Solvang is required to dedicate a minimum of 15% of our Measure A revenues to alternative transportation projects such as sidewalks, transit, and bicycle-related projects. The approved Measure A ordinance also includes a maintenance of effort, or MOE, requirement. The ordinance states that each local agency receiving revenues pursuant to the investment plan must annually maintain an expenditure of local discretionary funds for streets and road purposes, which is no less than, oh, sorry, I can get that, excuse me. Which is no less than the baseline amount in the case of Solvang of $276,020.51. That is adjusted annually. That baseline amount was set in fiscal year 2010-11. So with the resolution for the Measure A 5-year program of projects for fiscal years 2018 through 2022 is included for City Council approval in your council packet. And the Measure A revenue in fiscal year 2017-18 is estimated to be $361,954. The City Council may allocate funds in some other manner that is consistent with the Measure A local allocation rules. And in conclusion, staff recommends that the City Council hold a public hearing, take public input on the Measure A 5-year program of projects, and adopt a resolution approving the Measure A 5-year local program of projects for fiscal years 2018 through 2022. And we do have here, I just thought it might be helpful to have on the overhead the program of projects that is also included in your staff report. One thing I did want to mention is based on the City Council's direction during review and approval of the sidewalk master plan, we have included additional funding for next fiscal year to construct new sidewalk in Solvang. And our first planned project is Alisau Road, the west side of Alisau Road from Maple Avenue up to Laurel and then up to Eucalyptus. So those 2 blocks on the west side. So that the funding for that is included based on your direction to staff. With that, I'm available for any questions you might have.
Are there any questions to the staff report?
Does this bleed in with item number 10 at all? Because I noticed we're also going to be talking about the underground utility. And I'm wondering, because now we're sidewalks here, but then do we rip up sidewalks to put utilities underground?
Well, yeah, that's a good question. So there is some overlap. Basically, the staff had planned and coordinated with PG&E based on their schedule and our grant application for Measure A Safe Routes to School funding. Well, yeah, let me just back up. So a few years ago, we applied for a special program. As part of the Measure A program, they have certain portion of those funds that are split off and are allocated on a competitive basis for the South County and for the North County for safe routes to school projects. And so in the North County, we're on a 5-year cycle. And so 3 years ago, staff prepared a grant application. We submitted it, and our project was successful in getting funding. And that project is the Fifth Street sidewalk project. And so the plan all along had been to do the undergrounding work based on PG&E's schedule, and then after the street's torn up and everything, then complete the new sidewalk on Fifth Street. So I'm going to kind of talk about that more with the next item. But so we do have, separate from this, other grant awarded Measure A funds, $168,000 towards putting in sidewalks specifically on Fifth Street, on the east side of Fifth Street, from Oak Street up to Highway 246, Mission Drive. So, so the funds that we get from PG&E to do undergrounding work are very limited each year. We get approximately 20,000 in credits to do that. And the undergrounding is pretty expensive because they install conduits for telephone, power, and cable. And they have to have pull boxes and vaults and things like this. And then there's all the traffic control and so forth. So anyway, the city over its history has done a few undergrounding projects, but not many, because it takes many years to build up the number of credits in order to do a project. So in this case, and typically what's done is those utility lines are put in the roadway, not underneath the sidewalk or in the parkway. Sometimes they are, if you have, like in Skip Mesa, the streets are really, really wide and the parkways were designed extra wide. So they do have some of the utilities. I think they have like the telephone and cable TV in the parkway between the curb and the sidewalk. But typically for older areas of the community that have overhead lines, when they go to put them underground, there's usually not adequate space in the parkway area. So typically they do go in the street. So I think what you're getting at, if we do the sidewalk on Alisal Road, and then later on, in 20 years from now, or whatever, if the city does undergrounds the overhead lines there, those lines would most likely go in the street, like between the curb and the center.
That's
line.
exactly where I was going. I just didn't want to put a sidewalk somewhere just to rip it up and then put
Right,
underground,
yeah,
utilities in.
So normally that wouldn't be the case. Yeah.
Thank you.
Any other questions of staff report? Thank you, Matt. I have I have a speaker slip. We'll go to the public. Fred Koval.
Been worried, Mayor. Fred Koval, Solvang. Yeah, I took a picture today, and it has to do with eucalyptus at Alisal Road. And what's disturbing about this is that there's lines that cross the street, power lines, from one side to the other. In the winter months, and when there's high winds, in the winter months, high winds like today, those lines start moving back and forth. And in years past, there's been a lot of sparking. Now, what happens is they did tighten up on the lines, but the poles are starting to move towards each other. So the lines are starting to sag again. And it's getting close. Today is a good example of that. Okay? So the undergrounding, you guys got grants for sidewalks there and Fifth through the school, dee-da. However, the real problem is what is going down on both sides of the road of Alisal Road. Tons of optic lines and telephone lines. And those poles are just way overtaxed with weight. Take a drive up there. It's just unbelievable. So I don't know how you got where you are today with this staff situation, but it needs to really be rethought. Okay? The second issue I have is when I look at this spreadsheet today, if you look at the top, I cannot understand why there's a carryover, the second column, of $263,000. Why wasn't that money used? Why wasn't that money used for slurry seal? You know, about 2 or 3 years ago, the Public Works Director said, we need about 3 times the money allocated to look after our streets for the residents. And yet we have this huge amount left over. That doesn't make any sense. Now we're only going to spend 165 of that carryover, and then we're going to save the rest of 20 to 21 for $213,000. Boy, I'd sure like to know the reasoning behind that. I mean, I don't even have to look further down the line. The first 2 lines say it all. It reveals something. It reveals that we should have been looking after the streets and no carryover water. It just doesn't make any sense.
Thank you, Fred. Is there anyone else in the audience that wishes to speak? Seeing none, we'll bring it back to the council for action. Who would like to talk first? If there's no speaking, can I have a motion? I'll make a motion. I'll move staff recommendation. Is there a second?
I'll second it, even though I agree with Fred, Alisal's a mess. And it would be so beautiful if there were no power lines along that street, especially in the springtime when you're driving down and you look across at the real Alisal. It would be gorgeous, but I was told that that was not in the process yet, that we were going to do the 5th Street area first. So that's an entrance to
Yeah, actually,
town.
Measure A funds would not be eligible to do undergrounding. Measure A
Okay.
is strictly for
Okay, just
transportation.
for roads, okay.
It's been moved and seconded. Can I have a roll call vote, please?
Mayor Richardson,
Yes?
Councilmember Jamison,
Yes,
Deuce,
Yes.
Toussaint,
Yes.
Zimmerman.
Yes.
That's passed with a 5-0. On to item 10.
Item 10, Mission Drive and 5th Street Underground Utility District Update.
Staff report.
I wanted to wait till this staff report to answer some of the questions. So for starters, this is the location of the Mission and 5th Underground Utility District. And as mentioned in the staff report, several years ago when PG&E first approached the city about doing a project back in early 2013, one of the first steps that the staff took was to bring this in a staff report to City Council. We looked at 3 or 4 different locations throughout the city that had, heavy overhead power lines. And this was the location that the City Council approved and directed staff to implement. So this was the City Council's choice at this location. And the City Council at that time, I feel, did a good job at looking at all the locations. We had photographs in the staff report of the different locations, and they're right here in town, and probably most of you are familiar with them all. And one of them was on Alisal Road. So we've moved forward based on the City Council direction with this location. So, but anyway, so just to back up a bit, like I mentioned, in early 2013, PG&E approached the city. We didn't approach them. They approached us and said, hey, have you guys thought about doing an undergrounding project? You're building up these credits. And they suggested this location, I think because it's the entrance to the city, and as you can see, the dots the solid dots represent power poles that would be removed. The dots that have the white spot in the middle, those represent poles that would remain, where the underground lines would then come back up again, up the pole and be overhead still. So those are like the transition points. So you can see there's dots that go across those addresses between Copenhagen and Mission. Those are power lines that go right over the roofs of 3 buildings. And so I think the impression I got was PG&E felt that there was, in addition to the aesthetics, that there was some modest safety concern about that situation. You don't normally see power lines going right over the tops of buildings. Usually they're like, along the property lines and, set back. But at any rate, so we had a field meeting with PG&E. We looked at this location, a few other locations. As mentioned, we brought this to the city council for their direction, looking at these multiple locations. At that time, when the city council selected this location, PG&E told us that they felt we had enough credits to do the project, and that set in motion sort of the next step of creating the underground utility district. So staff completed all the paperwork. We generated this map that was required to be part of it, to establish the actual boundaries of the underground utility district. We had a community meeting and notified all the business owners and property owners, and had a field meeting with all of them, tried to answer all their questions, and we presented as much cost information as we could come up with at that point. The majority of the cost is intended to be covered by these underground funds that PG&E provides. So that was all done. The city council then created the underground district, and at that point, all our paperwork was into PG&E, and we got put into their queue, which is what I call it. So we have to wait our turn. They have a lot of projects ahead of us. And at that time, they felt that in approximately 4 years, they'd be able to start the engineering work and move forward with the project. So I should mention, it's described in the staff report, what PG&E did when they estimated we would have enough funds to do this project. They looked at the credits that we had at that time, so like 2 years ago then when the district was created, 3 years ago. And then, so they looked at the funds that we had then, they looked at the funds that we would accumulate during those 4 years while we sat in the queue, and then they allow, their process allows a 5-year projection or 5-year advance of credits. And so based on all that, they again told us they thought we had enough funds to do the project. So then come fall 2016, they contacted us and said, hey, so this would have been the time, fall 2016 is when they would have been starting the engineering work on this project. They do the engineering work for the undergrounding, for the plans and everything in-house. Anyway, at that point, they contacted us and said, hey, we're concerned you might not have enough credits. So we're like, oh, great. So we scheduled a field meeting with them, and in this field meeting that we just held a few months ago, we met with one of their senior engineers and also one of their construction managers. So those are the 2 people that really know more accurately what the costs will be, and they provide input or provided input into the updated cost estimate that PG&E did. So we actually walked the site, through the parking lots and looked at all the overhead lines and where all the power drops came down from each power line to each business. And so we did that. They updated their cost estimate, and basically they determined that the project would actually cost, let's see here, I've got the numbers in. Basically 1.2 million, and we only have 565,000 credits. So we're short by quite a bit. So at that point, the staff inquired, okay, well, what are our options? I mean, what do we do now? I mean, you guys were the ones who came to us, told us that we had the credits, that you projected we'd have the credits. So really, the only two alternatives are, one option would be just to wait till we accumulate the necessary credits. I look back in our records, and several years back, we were receiving close to 40,000 credits per year, but for the last several years, we were only getting about 20,000 credits a year. So I'm not certain why that amount has changed, but anyway, so it would take several years to accumulate, take many years to accumulate the necessary credits. But that's one option, just wait, we've got the district created, wait for several years till we get the credits. If there's some time in the future where the city wanted to put in more of the city's funds to move it forward, that could always be done. The other option would be to purchase credits from another agency. So PG&E, they said they couldn't tell us what credits the other agencies have, but they did know that there's some agencies that had quite a few credits that hadn't used them in a long time. And they mentioned the City of Guadalupe and the County of Santa Barbara. So staff contacted both of those agencies to see if they'd be interested in selling us credits. Guadalupe was not really ready to make a decision on that for any time in the near future. They have a new city manager, and she's still trying to figure everything out there, so they weren't in a position to make a decision. But we contacted the county. They said that they would agree to sell us the 550,000 credits at 50 cents per credit. And so they provided us with a letter to that effect, which is in your staff report. So at this point, those are really our two alternatives. So staff is really just looking for the city council's direction. If you don't want to spend that money right now, that's fine. What we mentioned in the staff report is the idea that staff has, if the city does want to spend that money, then we could incorporate it in the budget for next fiscal year for further city council review and approval. And then if that were approved in next fiscal year's budget, we'd go ahead and get the credits from the county. I should mention, and it's stated in the staff report also, but at the staff level, the county has agreed to sell us the credits, but they still would have to take that to their board of supervisors for final approval. So, but they didn't anticipate that would be a problem, but we'd still have to go through that formality, and so that could affect things. But anyway, so those are the two options. Oh, and I did want to clarify, and I'm glad Councilman Toussaint raised the question about undergrounding and then or doing sidewalk and then tearing up what we did. We would definitely always be very careful to as much as possible to avoid that. So we did look at 5th Street and the grant funding we have and what the planned project would be there. And already with that project, we were going to have to relocate two of these power poles. The one on the corner of the southwest corner of Copenhagen and First Street, that would have to be relocated. But we feel the project can be done. The street would be widened just a little bit to the east side of 5th Street. When we put in the sidewalk, we'd widen it about 2 feet. So we can widen that, just those 2 to 3 feet, put in the sidewalk, and we anticipate the undergrounding would all go into the street. So if you wanted to wait for this future undergrounding project and just go ahead, we have to go ahead with the 5th Street sidewalk project here soon, or otherwise we'll lose the grant funding. But bottom line is we can go forward with that project and not have to tear up a bunch of stuff later on. So that concludes my staff report. Have any questions, I'm happy to answer.
Questions of staff report?
Out of curiosity, what were the second and third priority locations for? You mentioned just in a prior council, you guys discussed different locations to potentially underground. So I was just curious what the other two.
I know that one of them was there on Alisal. up by Laurel and Eucalyptus. Off the top of my head, I'm sorry, there were
Okay.
two other, I think one of them was down at the near the intersection of, Mission and, Alamo Pintado Road.
Got it.
And there was a fourth location, yeah, maybe it was Chalk Hill, along Chalk Hill going up. I forget the fourth, so I'm sorry.
And the focus of these is on more commercial areas because that's to benefit all, or?
Well, you know, it's, all different people have different opinions on what would be important, but generally speaking, the project was, this program with the California Public Utility Commission and the utility companies throughout the state was envisioned more as an aesthetic improvement. And so wherever you know, a city council would feel that the most aesthetic benefit would be gained is kind of probably how a lot of decisions in the past were made.
Yeah, to be honest, I think the only project we've done is along Mission Drive. Historically, for the city of Solvang, it's just been undergrounding Mission Drive, and that took several years.
Perfect.
Are there any other questions? Joni?
Do we know how much it would cost to do Alisal as opposed to this one? Would that be a greater
Well,
cost?
at
or
the
do we-
time, what we did is when we looked at the 3 or 4 other, the 4 locations, we identified approximate areas that would be equivalent, that could be underground with the credits. So it was a similar kind of thing where there's like about 2 or 3 blocks worth at each of those locations. So I'm not, is that answering your
Well,
question? Or?
I mean, I'm just curious why the price got so high. Because the right people didn't give us the estimates?
I think
Well, it was two phase. Your credits started dropping. Your credits went from 40 to 20, so you.
Maybe
so
that would
we
be a
weren't
good
billed
thing to
as much.
investigate, to find out why
Yeah.
that's happened.
The
You know-
longer you wait on these kinds of projects, do we find that construction cost tends to go up, or?
Yeah, typically that's a true assessment. I mean, to be honest, this is not our forte. So doing these utility banks are really PG&E. So they're the ones who estimate it. They're the ones who are used to doing their undergrounding projects. So we're somewhat, we've not ever done an underground project. So.
But the costs, I mean, you
Yeah.
have traffic control, you have trenching, you have utility conduits, and you know, we do water and sewer work like that requires traffic control and trenching and things. The costs generally go up annually between 1% and 3 to 4%, you know. So, yeah, every year it goes up a little bit.
More than $20,000 probably.
Maybe not quite that much, but, well.
My question is,
actually, yeah.
the power lines going across the back of those properties, they're going over buildings?
Yes.
Did
Yeah.
did
we
PG&E,
included photographs in your staff report that
Yeah.
show them going right over the roofs. You can kind of see that
did
one.
PG&E put those in place before the buildings were built or after the buildings were built?
Yeah, I don't know the answer to that.
Is there a liability problem with those power lines because PG&E owns them?
Well, I'm sure.
And if there is a
More
liability,
liability associated with those lines than
if
ones
there
that
is a
just went up.
liability that's on PG&E's back, maybe they'd want to consider additional funding to help us get rid of them so it eliminates their liability.
Yeah, no, they have pretty strict guidelines from the California Public Utility Commission for this type of program, and
So,
they-
so basically, are we looking at?
Pole at 1510, neighboring 1518 was in place before the 2-story portion of that motel went in.
oh, okay. So
I remember that for sure.
So are we looking at $225,000 to put all that underground? If we get the credits from the county?
correct. Well, as indicated in the staff report, there's an additional approximately $70,000 that the city would have to pay on top of that. What PG&E requires is that we provide the base map, a surveyed, detailed base map. And so there's costs to that, and there's some minor costs with providing assistance for the utility or the service feeds on each parcel. The city would be contributing.
Seems pretty cheap.
Since some of that includes street work, did any part of that be funded by Measure A funds?
Uh,
Well, the sidewalk we're doing with the grant, right? You're doing part of that. Actually, I want to clarify that the project value is $1.2 million.
Right, but I
yeah.
thought we have credits that will get 500,000 plus we'll
Right,
get,
but just to make sure it wasn't a $500,000 project, it's $1.2 million, but we have 600,000 in credits already.
right.
Correct.
And then we can
So
purchase the other ones from the county at 50 cents on the dollar.
Yeah, you are. Yeah, that is exactly correct. So the thing of it is,
But since the possibility
they
of
don't normally
widening,
break out certain, like, what I would call bid items, you know, the pavement restoration or whatever. That's normally included in their cost to do the project. So,
well, since there's a possibility of widening Fifth Street and add 2 feet, that's a roadway project. Could that be included in Measure A funding?
yeah, so the Fifth Street sidewalk project includes $168,000 in grant funding. That's over and above our normal Measure A funds, annual funds. And then the balance of that project would be covered by Measure A funds and I think traffic mitigation funds. So that's the plan as far as funding that project, because it's about a $500,000 project, and we received $168,000 in grant funding, and so the balance would be additional Measure A and traffic mitigation funds to pay for that project.
But if we were to do the widening of Fifth Street, you're talking about removing power poles, so in order to accomplish it correctly, did I understand that correctly?
No, we would have to relocate one of them.
Just one?
Yeah, well, possibly two. I mean, we haven't done the final design yet, but we know for sure one of them would be relocated, possibly two. Yeah. Which, you know, the original idea was based on the information
Right,
from
sure,
PG&E,
right, yeah.
we would avoid all that because that would be done as part of the underground district project, so.
Thank you.
I'd like to make a motion. We move forward with the project and utilize the credits from the county.
Yeah, we'll go over to the public before we can
I
act.
thought we already did that.
No.
Like 3 times.
That was the other one. He hasn't been, I haven't asked for public comment yet. We'll hold off the motion until after public comment, yeah. Any other comments on the, we're questioning his staff report.
Just to clarify, we're short about 600,000 then.
Yeah, it's
From what the
558,000 credits or dollars.
Yeah, and
the
county's
credits.
willing to sell us all the credits we need for 50 cents on the dollar?
Correct.
No,
Well,
we still have
approximately.
to throw in something.
The credits would be at half value. That's, the staff has committed to that. There is some additional city funding over and above that, but yeah. Obviously, the Board of Supervisors has not been, posed the question, but yeah, we think.
If they nod.
Our understanding is they have quite a few credits and no projects planned. So they'd be looking for cash, in essence. That's one of the things the county is looking for, and so you would think it'd be, here's a way to generate some cash, so.
They have infrastructure problems of their own.
That's correct.
Any other questions, staff report? Seeing none, then we'll take it to the audience for comment. I have one speaker slip here, I think it's Fred Colville.
You're gonna see me one more time after this, Mayor. Okay, I did the quick math here, and I heard 1.2 million PG&E cost, 565,000 in credits, leaves short 635,000. Then I say, we can buy, for 225,000, we can buy 550. So if you subtract 550 from 635, get 85,000 short, not 70. And then, so if you add, you're gonna buy for 225,000 credits from the county, and you're gonna add another 85,000, gives you a total of 310,000 that I see. You know, and that's just, and you guys play fast and loose with the numbers, rounding up and rounding down. See, so it's kind of hard to track the moving target here. So I really would be really neat if you gave accurate numbers that you stick to without just moving things around to make it sound more plausible to yourself, but certainly not to the ratepayers. So, yeah, I think that's the issue. At least $300,000 to do this whole thing for an area we don't even need to have it done, only that we're trapped by virtue of the fact that you got this sidewalk grant, one pushing the other. So really, how much money did you get for the sidewalk grant versus how much additional money you're going to have to spend to make this all, put this all together? You know, I'm back to my public input.
Thank you, Fred.
So, Fred, I got my laptop here so I can make sure I have everything transparent and clean and accurate numbers. And I see Neil has that as well. So before I listen to your numbers, I'm going to want to see it on a laptop too.
So are you telling me I should bring in a laptop so I can counter?
If you want me to listen to your numbers.
Okay, I can do that. Next meeting.
So if I could just clarify.
Sure.
So if you look in the staff report, the second paragraph in the discussion basically summarizes where we are. So we have a certain number of credits today, and PG&E, with this program, grants a 5-year projection, or 5-year credit advance, advance on the credits, and trying to just keep a nice round number to make the purchase with the county. Instead of dealing with 558,000 and change, we just did 550,000. We do have opportunity with PG&E through the design process to try to tweak things a little bit, and so we will do that as well to try to trim a few dollars here and there. But anyway, that second paragraph basically summarizes under the discussion. And I did want to just reiterate, we have no problem moving forward with the 5th Street sidewalk project in advance of this. So if the city council does not want to do this project, the 5th Street sidewalk project will go ahead smoothly, and so
I'd just like to comment that I really like the proactive approach on pursuing the county for potentially purchasing some of their credits, 50 cents on the dollar. That's quite a bit of net there. So I'd hate to lose that opportunity. Do they want to sell more?
What I'd like to find out, and I believe this has been brought up, I'd like to find out why we're only getting 20,000 credits a year rather than 40.
It actually could be as simple as the consumption's down in the area, because it is based on a per unit, if I remember from my days of doing this. So utility use is generally
Or
down.
solar array.
Yeah, solar, things like that, over the years. That could be a piece of it. I seem to remember, because I did, at another job I was at, I would do underground projects, it was tied to how much electricity was sold to those residential customers that are not in underground areas. That's the other piece. You only get underground credits in those areas that have above ground service. So once you go underground in that area, those customers no longer donate to the underground fund. So
yeah. So like, for example, Skip Mesa isn't contributing to the funds towards this program.
Yeah.
And as other areas in the state are growing, and Solvang is maybe growing slower or not growing, their proportionate share of the funds available grows, while ours would then shrink, just proportionally.
Well, you know, aesthetically, I like the idea. I don't like the idea enough to pony up a bunch of our money. We've got other things we need to spend money on. I think we kind of got led down the road a little bit. I wish they would have brought the people with the real numbers in first, so we could have known that. I would tend on this particular one is just to stay pat and build up some more credits.
You know,
Yeah.
I have to agree with Mr. Deuce with one exception, is we have about $500,000 in credits. Is there another area in town we would rather spend that money on to improve? Is there an area that we can spend that credits without incurring any additional costs that would benefit us? And just eliminate this particular district.
Yeah, well, when we did this project, believe it or not, this is actually a very small project for an undergrounding project for PG&E. And they told us that they wouldn't recommend trying to do something much smaller than this. So when we looked at the other areas, we're looking at comparable size areas. But we could pursue looking into some other area or modifying this project even to be smaller and to match the credits that we have available.
Just look at
But
LSL.
it's,
Yeah.
no, whatever the city council directs.
We're looking for direction, so
No,
if you
that's
want to
fine.
direct us to
I
come back
would-
with
I would like
other
to-
projects, we
I
could.
would like to see you take the $500,000 and find places in town where we could use that $500,000 for undergrounding, you know? And that would be aesthetic, not necessarily have to be to the entrance to the city either, you know?
But it makes sense to be doing it at the entrance of the city.
So-
And it's so congested with so many poles.
Yeah.
Kind of seems like, I don't know. Don't have
I'd
think
hate to
too
lose an
much about it.
opportunity to buy 50 cents on the dollar.
Well,
I mean, if we
I'm
can't get that
disappointed-
deal, I wouldn't want to do anything.
I'm
but-
disappointed in the cost projections that PG&E gave us initially and now secondly, you know? It's a little deceptive in my mind, and I think that they may be taking advantage of us from that point.
And I feel that PG&E's got a real liability here with those power lines going straight across properties. And I think they need to pony up on some of this stuff.
And I would agree with that.
What are the odds of us getting PG&E to do anything? And I think they are masters at shifting things around. Within 3 years, this will be a $2 million project. Just like where we're at today, 1.2 million. Then it's going to be 1.5 every time we delay and pass the buck. And then the county might not be willing to sell any credits.
We don't even know if they're gonna sell them now.
Right.
Not for sure.
I'd say go for it while the opportunity's there. Give it a shot. If they don't do it, then we figure out something else to do.
I know there's some members of the Board of Supervisors that would rather keep their money within infrastructure improvements within the county than giving them those away, you know. There's 2 or 3 members of the board that are really hot on infrastructure maintenance. And
The worst they can do is say no.
and so we're stuck with scratching the money up. That's I'd like to consider looking at projects that would cost what we have in funds, and to see if we even want to do any more or wait for this. That's if you could come back with something with some suggestions like that, like the Alisol project. If we're going to be putting sidewalks on Alisol, maybe the undergrounding of those lines up there is a better deal. So.
Well, I'll go and I'll make the motion that I made earlier, and that is to go forward with the project on contingent on the 50 cents on the dollar credits from the county.
I'll second.
That's a motion that's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? Can I have a roll call vote, please?
Councilmember Zimmerman,
Yes.
Toussaint,
Yes.
Deuce,
No.
Jameson,
Yes.
I'm sorry?
Yes.
Mayor Richardson.
No. That passed with a 3-2 vote. So it's contingent upon the sale of the credits
We'll
from.
pursue it with the county, and then what we'll do is we'll come back for a budget adjustment to allocate that money.
Okay.
But only if the county gives us the money, or the credits.
And is that based on 50 cents?
Yes, it was.
Yeah,
Okay.
the Public Works Director did put that in writing to us, that that's what they
Okay,
were.
so that is the deal then?
Yeah.
Well, that was the motion.
Okay.
So,
Okay, I just wanted to clarify that we were buying it at 50 cents rather than whatever county may decide.
Right.
Or Board of Supervisors.
Right.
may
See,
If
our
it
direction is
change-
50%. If
yeah,
it changes,
if
we
it
would have to come
changes,
back.
we'll-
Yeah.
well, yeah,
Okay.
perfect.
Okay, item 11, the council member reports. I've got three of them, actually. The first one is the, on a quarterly basis, the city managers and the mayors meet. And we met here the other day in council chambers. And one of the things, and we meet with the city managers and mayors, and we discuss the goings-on in each of our cities. And we also invite in Dave Melinex, who's the League of California Cities representative for our area. And he pointed out that there's an important bill in the state legislature regarding infrastructure improvements in, there are two of them, one called SB1 and the other is AB1. And it's infrastructure, transportation, and infrastructure funding. He's asked us to offer our support on these two bills to the state legislature. So as a result of that, our letter has been written to Jim Beall, who's the sponsor of SB1, indicating the Solvang's support for SB1. And as a result of that, I've been asked as mayor to call our representatives, Monique Lemon and Hannah Beth Jackson, and indicate our support to them, which I did today. So they like, I have to say it was a short support. I said I support it, and they said thank you, goodbye. So, and I asked, you get a lot of calls like this, and the answer was yes, goodbye. So at least we indicated our support to those two, our two representatives in the state legislature. So that's that one. The other committee reports is Air Pollution Control District meeting of March the 16th. One of the important things that came out of that meeting, actually there are probably two important things. One is One is the effort to control wood smoke out of fireplaces. The pollution caused by wood smoke is serious, and so there's going to be an effort to eliminate by education and other means the elimination of burning wood in fireplaces. So just be aware of that. The board of directors of the Santa Barbara County Air Pollution Control District has approved of that thing. I have a presentation, if anybody would like to see it, on what was presented to the APCD Control Board.
I'd like to see it. They're not taking my wood-burning fireplace away.
Tell them not burn garbage wood. That's the biggest polluter.
Right.
Get some good old red oak that burns hot and clean.
Does that mean we can't have barbecues anymore, too?
I'm sorry?
Does it mean we can't have barbecues?
That's wood burning, period.
Well, we have a
Smoke.
wood-burning barbecue.
I understand. That's their goal.
But it's through education.
Well, it's through education.
Try-
There'll be
try
some.
to educate.
There'll be some. And there's some initiatives involved in that too.
Well, they already have this over in the Central Valley. You can't have a wood-burning fireplace.
Yeah. So, and then there's one other indication was that the presentation was made on pollution that we received in the county, majority of which comes from shipping in the Santa Barbara channels. And there's a move afoot to adjust standards of pollution on stationary equipment, stationary machinery. And it's felt by some of us that the load, being that's the only thing that the county, that the Air Pollution Control District can regulate, they want to regulate the standard to reduce the standard, so those folks that have these stationary sources of pollution are going to bear the full responsibility of the pollution in the county, because pollution is caused by automobiles, caused by trucks, caused by tractors, caused by the shipping in the channels and those sorts of things. And a small majority of the pollution is caused by stationary equipment. And some people have felt that it's not fair to those organizations, that they have to bear the brunt of the pollution. But that's something that's in the mill right now. So, and we got a lot of responses from the clean air people that that's okay to do that to folks, is to penalize those that don't produce as much as others. So
Fight it.
sorry.
I said fight it.
We have. There's been 2 or 3 of us that are opposed to it dramatically. So.
Find 5 or 10 more to line up with you.
It's the Non-Attainment Transitional Ozone Plan Review. That's what it's called. And there's also an education grant for schools to care about our earth, and grants to have kids develop some projects to train and outreach for pollution control for kids in schools. And this, if you care to see about the presentation of the air quality in Santa Barbara County and the pollution caused by these stationary sources, maybe you'd like to see that.
What are stationary sources?
Stationary sources are like people that have engines that are just stationary engines, like pumps, those sorts of things.
Generators, huh? So how do you build a house without a generator?
It's not, that's a good question, see. That's the problem, is they want to put the load on people they can control. They can't control automobiles, the CARB does that. They can't control the ships and the others, so that and those are the main pollution generators. So it's just an unfair thing to go after the small little guy, so. On SBCAG, the major the major effort was a presentation by our consultant regarding the sequence of events, construction on the widening project on 101. It's built into four segments. Segments 1 and 2 have been completed, which is up at the north end of the 101 in Santa Barbara. And the segment 3 is under process right now, which is the widening of the bridges across 101 in Carpinteria. Segment 4 is going to be the widening of the highway from Carpinteria through Montecito. And that segment is broken down into 4 sections, A, B, C, and D. And it was determined that Section A, which is from the south end of the 101 widening project up through Carpinteria, is the most economic and the fastest to be done. It can be started in 2020 and completed about 3 years after that. And then following that, construction northward from that point. But there was a discussion on why not start at the north end and work south, because it would reduce the backup at commute times. So we resolved that we would start that item, segment 4A in the south, and the balance of the segment construction is up in the air, whether we continue on from the south to north or start at the north and continue and work south to that segment A. And I have a presentation of that if anybody's interested in looking.
Where does A end?
A ends at just past Carpinteria.
And Jim, do you want to share with us?
Through CARP only, huh?
It goes to Santa Claus Lane, about.
You want to share how long this is all going to take?
Let's see if I can tell you that answer.
1935 to, I mean, 2000, Yeah, 1935. Yeah, 2035 to 2040.
It's, segment 4A has a cost of $105 million. The cost per mile is more economic, and that's why they wanted to do that. Let's see if I got a date here.
I was watching that, and I think that's what it was.
Construction programming, summer of 17 to spring of 18.
No, those are
That's
just
programming
segments.
of
I'm
it.
talking about the whole project, the whole
Design of
thing.
right-of-way 17, construction start 19 through 23. 2019 through 2023.
That's only a segment of it.
That's only that first segment
Yeah.
of 4A.
Carpentry to Sandbox.
Yeah, that's
easy
up
one.
to Santa Claus Lane.
Okay.
Here's the picture of the segments. Segment B will be from Santa Claus Lane up to Summerlin. Segment C is Summerlin into about Montecito, and then segment D will be through Montecito. And there are some that are saying that it's important for the congestion to be eliminated at the north first rather than the south first. Because as you remember, when they were constructing the Milpas intersection, the backup was from Garden Street back up the freeway. And you can recall what that was by all the skid marks on the freeway. that was now those skid marks eliminated. They're down about Olive Mill now, where the skid marks occur. So.
But you got another backup, and that's the morning commute out of Ventura.
That was what the argument was for working from the south to the north.
Yeah.
See, and then some people thought, well, those guys just live in Ventura. That's their problem. That's the north people, we want to clear them out of Santa Barbara. So, but it's an argument. It's an argument that's not resolved.
The afternoon Ventura people that are heading home that
Right.
is
Want to get them out
moving
of
up
there.
southbound.
Right. So that's an argument that hasn't been resolved yet. So that's on the agenda. And that's the end of my report for SBK. Does anybody else have any committee reports?
Ryan, do you want to make some comments about the meeting?
Yeah, I'll let you run with it.
No, you go ahead. You start, and I'll come in.
Let's see. So I'm trying to remember. That was like what, almost 2 weeks ago now. So,
Mhm.
so it was a CSD meeting, and I think my biggest takeaway was I was just happy about the training I got to go through with League of California Cities and stuff like that, because you could see that they don't. Seems like they don't have the same kind of process there, so it kind of leads to some issues. But
Yeah, it was kind of unfortunate.
A little
I
rough,
thought.
yeah.
It was a little rough. I think they're wasting a lot of time by not being inclusive of the new members on their
Mhm.
board. Very unfortunate.
What meeting was that?
Community Services District.
Oh, okay.
And she is not going quietly into the night. She is going to demand that they include her, and I think that's the way it should be. And they, pardon me? Karen Jones. Yeah.
Okay, that's the end of that. Then would you announce the closed session, please?
Closed session item, Government Code subdivision of Section 54956.8, real property negotiations for APN 139-540-064, agency negotiator, city manager, negotiating party, Gary Blake, Bella Vista, SYV, LLC, under negotiation, price and terms.
I have one speaker's comment, Fred Koval.
Yes, from past meetings, Fred Koval, Solvang. From past meetings, I ascertained that this is the development up Old
Sorry?
Mission Drive. This is the development up Old Mission Drive at the very end. And this has to do with one of the lots that I've looked at. I've also researched it with the county records. And so I see the 8 lots. I understand that. My issue is that I just think there's a lot cheaper way to go. And I'm going to tell you.
How do you know about this?
How do I know all about this? Because I've done a lot of research about it, okay? And, I can connect the dots. pretty easily. My recommendation is that you go across the street on the west side and you go north to the beginning of Old Mission Drive. And that's where you proceed with a way to walk all the way up. Because that's where most of the people walk. Think about it, look at it. I walk there all the time when I'm going to walk to the high school or to walk to Santa Ynez. And I do those walks quite often. And it's really the only way to go is down Pine Street and then get on the sidewalk. Well, the sidewalk peters out pretty quickly on Old Mission Drive, and so it's just got to be the easiest thing in the world to be able to continue a sidewalk all the way down to Alamo Pintado. I mean, it doesn't get any easier than that. It's the safest way to go, and that's what I really recommend that you look into. And it should be with the new developer and with the sidewalk that's in place in front of Frontier Communications, used to be Verizon, that get continued down past the new market all the way to Alamo Pintado. So, since I, again, walk it quite often, I don't want to go any other way but that way.
Thank you, Fred. Is there anybody else wish to comment on this particular item? Seeing none, we're adjourned to closed session.
Oh, by the way, you need to report out in closed session if there was any action, and that means you come back to here to report out.